Hey, this is Blake Moynes from season 16 of The Bachelorette.
Hi, this is Alana Milne from season 25 of The Bachelor.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
And you're watching The Bros Ceremony.
This is The Bros Ceremony.
Your journey's about to begin.
Recapping the week that was in Bachelor Nation and previewing what's to come in the next episode with some special betting odds.
Everyone can't wait to find out what happens next week.
Here are your hosts, Michael the Hound Dog Harrison and Adam Scully.
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Will you accept this rose?
Leading by example. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Bros Ceremony podcast presented by Honeybee Meals. Spread the buzz. Adam Scully alongside Michael, the Hound Dog Harrison. And Hound Dog, we made it. Double digits. We are leading by example.
I had a feeling you were going to try to make a big deal of this being a milestone episode 10. As I've said many times in the past, milestones are so incredibly stupid. They're the dumbest thing ever. I get it. If it's 100, okay, that's pretty cool. But the 10th episode, the 17th episode is more impressive than the 10th episode, but we're not going to make a big deal about the 17th episode. So why do we even care about it being a milestone? Because it's a nice zero, nice round number at the end of it. Absolutely ridiculous. Milestones are the dumbest thing going. I always hear recently, I've been hearing a lot of this guy got his 200 NHL assists. Like we make a big deal about it. Who cares? Just because it's 200, it's a nice, perfect round number. Milestones are absolutely the dumbest thing going. Again, like 100 or like something like that, or like you pass the best person ever or something. Like when we have the most podcasts ever on the Bros Ceremony, that's a milestone. That's truly something, as opposed to just some random arbitrary zero at the end of it number.
Now, having said all of that, I think this is a bigger deal because we're going from single digits to double digits.
Partially. Okay, fair enough. You got me a little bit there, but mostly it's still stupid.
But in all seriousness, this has been a lot of fun doing these episodes, the Bros Ceremony presented by Honeybee Meals. If you're ever in a rush, you can toss in these meals into the microwave one at a time, obviously. 2.5 minutes. You have a healthy, nutritious, and delicious meal for your first order. Go on honeybeemeals.com. Use the discount code BROSCEREMONY15 for 15% off your first order. I've been using these meals for 2 years, 2.5 years. And Michael, I know you've used these for 6 months or so and I've really enjoyed them.
I just had one actually about an hour ago. The Vietnamese chicken, just absolutely delicious. Not just saying that, I swear to God, so incredibly good. Like all of them are just, like you said, like they're super quick in the microwave, which is perfect, especially because I have weird wonky work hours. That it's not like a 9 to 5 type of thing. I work at late night. So they're perfect. And if I'm really hungry when I get home, instead of having some really bad snack or whatever, that's going to be, a bunch of calories, these Honeybee meals are so much better. So, absolutely love them. But Adam, I must say before we get into this episode, you are looking absolutely dapper on this episode. Just maybe the best suit you've ever worn, I think.
Wow. So you like the black on black ensemble, as I call it. It's the Johnny Cash or the Vincent Chase, if you will.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're just like, I gave you the compliment. Now you're going a little bit too far with that. You're comparing yourself to Johnny Cash. Okay.
To John Cash. Yeah.
Gary Player, a golfer, loves to wear all black as well.
Gary Player does. And Phil Mickelson won a couple of green jackets wearing the all black attire. And Michael Weir, Canada's own, in the 2003 Masters, also wore all black. I must say, Michael, you look swell as well. You look spectacular. And speaking of looking spectacular, another great episode of The Bachelor this past Monday. We'll preview tonight's episode of The Bachelor. But first things first, the most polarizing character Bachelor history, some would say, and probably agree with that statement. Queen Victoria, she gone.
I don't even know if you could even say polarizing, because I think polarizing obviously insinuates there's people on one half of the side and the other half of the side. I think pretty much like 98% of people didn't like Victoria. I happen to really love her, except there was a few times where she did absolutely cross the line. It was just a little bit too much. It was just like, and I'm kicking myself because last episode I was going to tell you, I'm pretty sure the last episode, the one that we just watched, it was going to be her last episode. It just felt like her time was up. When they have this crazy character, oftentimes it's like maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and then eventually the main person gets rid of him. It really did feel to me going into this episode that she was toast. But yeah, once she started saying like calling girls hoes and whores and sluts and stuff like that, it was like, okay, like you are entertaining. It was funny, but like I said, it crossed too much to like, okay, this is just stupid now. Like you're absolutely a horrible person. So I mean, she's a great person. If we ever get her on this podcast, I love Queen Victoria. She's great. So.
Yeah, if we ever were to get her on the podcast, it would be a riveting conversation. I mean, I'm sure we would ask great questions, but no, it would be interesting to hear her opinion about what went on in the house. You know, she was quoted during this past episode as saying, "I'm always playful. I'm not malicious." Literally with the emphasis on the literally, you know, saying things like that was completely taken out of context when Matt brought up the fact that that Ryan was claimed that Victoria called her a hoe, and Matt came back and said, "I'm just curious what context would be calling someone a hoe acceptable." Like I
didn't have an answer for that, did she?
I gotta say, and we'll get into Anna shortly, but throughout this episode, Matt was an all-star.
Yes. I will also go deflect and go the opposite way a little bit. Not that he's still a great guy, don't get me wrong, but he's not the most dynamic, interesting bachelor. I feel like he's obviously a great dude, but I want a little bit more. I want a little bit more intrigue from him. But I did love that Victoria, when he did send her packing, did not hug him, because I'm often like, why would you hug the person? Or like if you got voted off on Big Brother or Survivor or whatever, mainly on Big Brother, they always hug the people on the way out. No. I wouldn't get voted out anyway. But if I did, I wouldn't. But if I did, I'm not hugging. I'm gone. I'm gone 2 seconds later. I'm not hugging you. Get out of here. You voted me off. So I love the fact that Victoria decided not to hug him. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's some really bold comments from Victoria throughout the episode. And let me just scroll down through my notes and find some here. You know, she was quoted a couple times. Does Matt want a wife who's constantly raising drama? Or does he want me? I mean, but like of all things too, we've seen this throughout the season, the last rose, all of suspense. It's got to go to Victoria, right? And then obviously it didn't. It was that cold goodbye too. Like
it just, like I said, it just felt like it was her time to go. Like it was like, okay, you've wreaked enough havoc. It has been interesting, you know, but it's like your time has sort of come. There wasn't much more to say for her story. It was just like you're at this point, she was just sort of a caricature, and obviously they barely ever kissed. Like you never saw them making out except for maybe the first episode or something. So there clearly there was not much chemistry there. So it was her time to go.
Now, her time to go, but do we see her come back for Paradise? What do you think about that possibility?
I think it's a 100% chance that she comes back for Paradise, unless she, of course, finds love. She'll be back, because that would just be, there's so many opportunities there, because obviously she could either be the same person and create all the same drama as she did in this season, or she could say she's a reformed character and now all of a sudden she's going to be a better person. She's worked on herself and she's vulnerable. Her walls are down, blah, 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 all the buzzwords. 100%. If she wants to be on there, she will absolutely be on there. I'm assuming you agree.
Yeah. I mean, if she was on there, it would be incredible television. It would be fascinating to see if she just completely changed, if she was just a regular human being, if she wasn't the queen, or if she just took it up a notch and decided to be, Queen Victoria on steroids on Paradise. Because, as we know, you're on that beach, it can get a little hot sometimes. Sometimes the cocktails can get you a little bit. So that would be really curious to see if Queen Victoria does make her way to Paradise. But someone else who was also eliminated early on, spoiler alert, in the episode was Anna. And she made some comments about Brittany. You just can't make that. You just can't do that.
I hated in this episode, like she was sort of trying to be apologetic about it a little bit, but then she was like, yeah, I made a stupid comment, which at least she owned the fact that she did that. And we've all said stupid things. I definitely have. We all have things you're not proud of, but that one's to the next level of like, it's not, and she's like, oh, I made a rude comment. Calling someone an escort isn't a rude comment. That's just an absolutely insane comment. That's rude as to say like, I don't like your hair today or something like that. Like to say, oh, it was just a rude comment. I was like, you're kind of underselling this a little bit. It was pretty bad that she said that, but yeah, it just, again, like Matt isn't, you're saying earlier, you're saying he's an all-star. he's not taking anything. This episode, he proved that. He's like, no, you know what? I'm not here for this. This is so stupid. So yeah, kudos to him for doing that. But I just couldn't get over the fact that she was sort of straddling the line of being apologetic and understanding what she said and did, with also still I felt it was still a bit of an error of trying to justify it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. When Matt and Anna went to have their conversation, essentially Anna said, yeah, I made a mistake. I said this, I shouldn't have said it. And Matt said, oh, you're not a horrible person. I've done similar things and learned from it, but I have to follow my heart. And unfortunately, I can't see you being a part of this journey anymore. And then what did they do? They walked out. The girl saw them go. Anna goes into the car, and she was not wearing a seatbelt.
Yes, I'm glad you noticed, because I was like, I wrote that down. I'm like, yes, it was so clearly obvious. It's like, again, when you go in the limo, and I asked this of Alana last episode, she wasn't in a limo. So whenever we do have a future guest on here, I hope to hell to get the answer to that, how far that limousine ride is. It must literally be around the block once the camera's out of view, because she did not wear a seatbelt the entire time. It's like, you could get in an accident, Anna. So yeah, it never fails. At least in that part of the episode, the person in the limousine did not have a seatbelt.
Yeah. So, I mean, the episode got out like to a hot start. There was so much drama going on, some trash talking here and there. And Queen Victoria and Anna both going home. They're both going packing. It would be great to get one or both of them here on the Bros Ceremony presented by Honeybee Meals. Hopefully we can do that here in the immediate near future. Any last remarks about the Rose Ceremony, Michael?
Anything bad that we did say about them will be scratched from the Bros Ceremony episode 10, and we'll just say great things. Then they'll be on. So we love you, Victoria and Anna. We love you so much. Please come on our podcast. But no, that's I think that was pretty much it for the Rose Ceremony. There wasn't too many big surprises, if I'm not mistaken. One
thing that I am curious, and this is coming to mind now, after the actual Rose ceremony, they always show everyone cheersing and everyone makes like a little toast. I wonder, like, does every person in the room, cheers to love, cheers to vulnerability, cheers to falling in love with Matt? Like, does everyone in the room have some sort of moment?
Oh, they must. And also, speaking of those rose ceremonies, I always find it hilarious that whenever a woman is picked and given a rose, she'll always say, excuse me. You ever notice that? They always say, excuse me. I would love if the woman just, tore right through the people and just didn't care at all. Pretty much, basically, Queen Victoria would have been that person, I guess, if someone were to have done it. But yeah, they're always saying, excuse me. I would love if they just went, boom, get out of here, and just knocked them to the side. That'd be, not them condoning violence, but it would be pretty funny instead of saying, excuse me.
Yeah, that would be that would really take things to the next level. That's for sure. But so the rose ceremony goes on. Everyone gets their beauty sleep after a dramatic evening. And then the next week, of course, Uncle Harrison comes in talking about how intense this has been. And they're halfway through this process, not this journey, this process. I found personally that they use the term process way, like, a lot more than I've ever heard it before, especially instead of the term journey. Thoughts?
Oh, damn. You should maybe amend that into the Bachelor drinking game rules, even though I never drink while watching this episode, because it's always in the afternoon on Tuesdays. But yeah, I definitely did notice the process, which is a new wrinkle, as you were saying, into the lexicon of the Bachelor expressions. I still think journey sounds cooler and more ridiculous than process.
Lexicon, that
good word. You like that? You like that?
That's a great word. Anyway, so they're halfway through this process. There's a one-on-one date that goes first, and who gets it? None other than Rachel. And you can tell right off the get-go, Rachel is super excited. And Matt and Rachel, they just have this connection that maybe could Rachel be the one?
Well, my favorite part of the date was something very, very innocuous, another good word, that she said, she goes, I'm so speechless right now, Matt. But she said, I'm so speechless right now. So you kind of can't be speechless if you're saying you're speechless. But that was my favorite part of the date. But I don't know if you've heard or been reading online. There's a section of the internet, allegedly, of course. Have you heard about it, Rachel? Apparently, she's not the nicest of people, potentially. Allegedly.
Really? No, yeah, so, fill us in. What do you know?
So apparently some of the stuff I've been reading was that some people allegedly are saying that she's a big Trump supporter. And she's posted videos and pictures to the sort, and also used to be a mean girl in high school. And she apparently used to make fun of women in her high school class if they liked black men, was apparently one of the things. So it was like, again, who knows? It's one of those deals. Like, it's kind of like, is it really true? Who knows? But it was just surprising because, as you mentioned, like, it seems so far anyway, that Rachel definitely is the favorite to win this whole thing, or to find love, I guess. That not win, but to find love. But yeah, there's a section of people allegedly saying on the internet. No, they are saying that she was a mean girl allegedly. So who knows? So maybe, who knows? You never know with this show, right? Because Anna and Victoria are gone. We'll get to MJ here in a bit. But they always need to have that next person with drama, right? Like there always has to be that next source of drama for the show. So you never know. Maybe someone, I'm just, guessing here, perhaps, that
speculating,
hypothesizing. I couldn't think of that word for a sec. That maybe someone from her past comes on the show or something like that. Yeah, who knows? But maybe there'll be some wrinkle to her story, to her process and journey to find love.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. But on the actual one-on-one itself, they were with celebrity stylist Ty Hunter. They were trying on a bunch of different she was trying on a bunch of different dresses and a pair of very nice high heels that Matt gave her. I couldn't tell you the actual brand. I know all the ladies were hellbent. They were like, "Oh my God, they look so nice." And so Rachel comes back. She's got about 42 bags walking into the room. What a setup, first of all, by the producers. You have all the ladies sitting, doing whatever the heck they're doing all day. And Rachel walks in just sort of, "Hey guys, I'm back." But she was only back for a little bit because, the Belvedere showed up.
Well, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that before. Sorry to interrupt you, Adam. I don't think I've ever seen like the limo guy actually announce himself and, "Hey, I'm here for you, Rachel." I thought that was unique. I was like, "Hey, what's the deal here? Is this guy..." He showed up a couple times. I thought that was a little bit different, but yeah, I think they really try to humanize her in the clip that they have of Rachel, because she said something along the lines of like, "I've never paid for more than like $40 for a pair of shoes," or something like along those lines, right? So they're definitely really leaning into wanting you to think that she's the winner, which makes me, of course, think she's not the winner.
Interesting. But we speak about Rachel, maybe being the favorite at this point, so that they have their nice dinner afterwards. And that's when Rachel says, "Matt, I'm starting to fall in love with you." And what does Matt say back? "I feel the same way." This has to be a first this early. I mean, aside from Claire and Dale, because that was, hopefully they're both doing okay separately now. But aside from them, is this the earliest we have seen any sort of L-bomb drop from a bachelor or bachelorette?
I love your recency bias, these episodes. Like, "Oh, this is the first time this has happened," or "This has never happened before." It's like, I'm pretty sure if we were to go back,
I'm sure it's happened
25 seasons, it probably happened like last season or something like that. But it's like, a lot of those things immediately go out of your head. But yeah, obviously she said that, but then didn't, I think her name is Michelle, one of the new women. Didn't she already say she was falling for him? It's like, she's literally been there, one hot air balloon date, and then for like 2 other days or whatever. And already she's saying that. It's like, holy crap. Like that's a bit early, don't you think?
She's literally been there for just the one day, but yeah, a little early, I think. But hey, if it's love, it's love. And, I guess we'll see what happens with Rachel and Matt here going forward. She has to be, she's got to be one of the top 3 favorites if we were putting some action on that. Yeah. I think
we said that last episode. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% agree. And, so Rachel, they have this great one-on-one date, and they're wearing, she has this blue dress on and Matt has this nice blue jacket. They're almost matching. Well, I guess they were matching. Any last remarks on that one-on-one date?
Well, that one-on-one date would have been the absolute most, would have been the perfect date of all time in the Bachelor history. And I won't even be, revisionist history or recency bias. It truly would have been the greatest date in the history of Bachelor history. Had they had some honeybee meals with them, because, those meals that would have been done in 2, they always have staged those meals that they're supposed to be eating, but they don't actually ever eat from that except for during Paradise.
That's right.
Was it JP? No, what was his name? The goofy guy, the blonde hair guy who loved Tayshia.
John Paul.
Paul
JB Jones.
And yeah, JPJ, that's it. And he ate something, and they were like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" But yeah, if they actually would have had honeybee meals, 2.5 minutes in the microwave, bing bang boom, you get your food right away. That would have made the date absolutely spectacular. They didn't have that, so it can't be the best date in Bachelor history.
Yeah, and if they use the promo code BroCeremony15, they could have 15% off their first order.
Just opportunity missed for them, so that's why I don't think they're going to win. Rachel's going to win because she dropped the ball, and so did Matt on that one.
Yeah, that's for sure. So after the 1-on-1 date, the next day there was a group date, and they're having some fun, farming and that sort of thing. But things started to escalate a little bit when they were talking afterwards. When Matt was talking with MJ, and Matt heard that MJ was being an antagonist. I believe that was the term used in the house, and MJ did not like that.
Well, we touched on that a little bit earlier. The fact that there always has to have that next person, next man up mentality, or next woman up mentality in this case for the Bachelor season of drama. Because now that Anna and Victoria are gone, and as I said, from one person with amazing hair to another, and I've said this about MJ before, I love her hair, Adam. I think her hair is absolutely amazing. It's incredible. I just think it's great. But yeah, she all of a sudden started to get a little bit on the nerves of some of the women there, and then she saw a kiss by I think it was Piper, I want to say maybe, and all of a sudden she was a little bit rattled by that. So obviously it's all going to come to a head at the end of the episode. We'll talk about that a little bit, but her and Jessenia, obviously have to go on that 2-on-1 date just to see who's going to be gone and who's going to stay. So that should be pretty spicy.
Yes, and as MJ said, I don't know, 12 times that she leads by example. She leads by example. That's she's owed an apology. She leads by example. And Jessenia and Katie piped in as well. They didn't like that.
Well, yeah. Before we get to talking about the MJ versus Jessenia showdown, I think it happened before, maybe it was after the group date. Kit had her own date. And I want to talk about her.
So things really escalated. Or
what happened? What was the order of things? I can't remember.
They began to escalate when MJ and Jessenia, during the group portion of the date, I believe, they were still chatting. But it didn't, they were talking and things were heating up a little bit. And then Matt showed up, gave Abigail the rose. They had a really good, vulnerable conversation. And then Kit, and then as you mentioned, so we'll get back to MJ and Jessenia momentarily, but Kit had a 1-on-1 date of her own, and it was a nice, cozy date.
I must say, I think when we're previewing these women at the start of the season, obviously you only have to go by their profiles. You don't know anything about them at all. I think Kit must be, I would think, the biggest surprise. I think based on her profile, if I'm not mistaken, it seemed like we were like, oh, she's definitely going to cause a lot of drama. She's going to be not very well loved. Even the first episode, there's a few inklings of I don't know, she might be a bit of a mean girl. She actually seemed to be really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty humble given the circumstance. She was talking about her mom, humble brag. Her mom is like a bazillionaire or whatever. By the way, I Googled her mom is Cynthia Rowley, and I'm going to say that I pretend like I know who that is. But yeah, she's obviously a big wig and makes a bunch of money. But I thought it was pretty good. I did love a Kid how she said, if Matt has the date with me and we do cooking, it's really showing that he's really listening to me. If we're going to be doing cooking for our date. No, Matt's not listening to you. The producers are listening to you. Matt had no idea, I'm sure, come on.
What? No, that was totally, and Matt, spending all day cleaning the house and making sure he was looking style. Oh man, that made me laugh.
Good point. Yeah.
But so then, the date ends. They have this great date and they go back and they're preparing for, I believe it's the morning of the rose ceremony, when another date card shows up and the lady was thinking, what is going on next? But yes, the moment we're all waiting for that will kick off tonight's episode, 2-on-1, MJ versus Jessenia, the yelling match. Who will take it? Michael, what do you think? Who stays? Who goes home? Or do they both go home?
Well, we mentioned earlier about how Anna left and she didn't have her seatbelt on in the limo.
Yeah.
Jessenia and MJ, when they went to the separate room or whatever to have their discussion where they argued, they both did have their seatbelts on. I was like, oh, interesting plot twist
safety
here.
First.
Yeah, it was a wider shot instead of the normal close-up shot on the person who's been evicted from the house. They both did have that. I was like, oh wow. I think MJ stays. I think they need some more drama. Like I mentioned, if she goes, then who's the next person to cause drama? I think she will stay, and Jessenia will be cut off the show. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great podcasting, but I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think MJ has a little more personality than Jessenia. I think, aside from this OGs versus newbies nonsense, I think, from what they've shown us anyway, as the viewer, I think MJ brings more to the table than Jessenia. And
don't forget, as MJ said, she promotes, what was the term? She promotes harmony. That's what she promotes, harmony. She preaches harmony, which is like, shut the hell up. If you say you preach harmony, you are probably not preaching harmony at all. That's just like, oh my God.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stop it. It's like a live, laugh, love, or, the new year, new me, all those expressions. Just like, holy crap. I can't stand them. They're horrible. I will say them ironically, but I won't actually mean them.
It was the same thing that Queen Victoria said, where she said, there's no one here he can marry beside me. I'm literally the best option. I'm the only one with a working brain.
I didn't even hear that part. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
That's tremendous.
There were some great lines from Queen Victoria, and hopefully we'll have her on the Bros Ceremony presented by Honeybee Meals at some point. But you mentioned drama. And the preview for tonight's episode, it looks like we have some drama. Tyler C is coming on, and looks like we have our first sneak peek at another lady joining the fray, Heather.
Yeah, Heather comes in out of nowhere, in some vehicle. Hey, what's up, Matt or whatever? And she was I think it was a couple seasons ago she was on. She never had kissed before. And then she kissed, what was his name? Clayton? Football guy. The Virgin. Colton. She had never kissed a guy. And then she, of course, kisses a man on national television, even though she'd never kissed someone before. It was like, if they would have stayed together, that would have been awesome. Yep. But the fact that she wasted her first kiss on a guy she didn't even end up being with, I feel bad for her. But yeah, she's coming back onto the show, which I don't know, to be honest. Does she have any history with Tyler? Obviously, we don't know about Matt, but does she have any history with Tyler? Maybe they're good buddies or something, and that's how they know each other, or what's the deal? There
has to be some connection. There has to be something, because she wouldn't just randomly show up and say, you know what, I want to be in this thing. There has to be some sort of, or maybe they're tricking us, and maybe she's just best friends with Tyler. Who knows?
That's my guess. And like they've run in the same circles before, and they've seen each other a couple times or whatever. Like with Kelly last season with Peter, how she like saw him at a wedding something along those lines or whatever. It's just like, okay, it's all these circumstantial things that these people happen to bump into each other. All the people in the world, and they happen to be on the same show. It just seems ridiculous, but. Katie, who is, of course, one of our favorites as well, they showed in the preview for tonight's episode, they started to show her, and I've been waiting for this, because she is lighting the wick for some problems. She's telling Matt some things. I've been waiting for some of the women to turn on her, outside of Victoria, of course, who didn't like her. And it looks like Katie is going to start to get some. She's going to be a thorn in some of the women's side, and they're going to go after her this episode.
Well, what's going to happen? It all gets underway tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. As always, we are here every Monday recapping the previous episode and looking ahead to that night's episode. It's going to be riveting, dramatic. We're halfway. We're past halfway. We're like 60% through this process now. Let's try to speak English here, Skulls. And we're past this 60% through this process. I'm having some trouble speaking right now.
Take two on that one. Yeah.
Take two on that. We are about 60% through this process. We'll see what happens, where Matt's drama, what is going to happen next. Who is going to steal?
What percentage
Matt's
are we through? What percentage?
I think we're about 60%. About 60%. I think somewhere in that line. But Michael, before we sign off, because clearly I'm having some English issues right now, some housekeeping issues before we go.
Items.
some items. This is a struggle right now. The pool, bachelor pool. Fill our viewers in on the brilliance that is the co-host of the Bro Ceremony. I'm
moving up in the world. I'm now 37th of the pool of like 55 people. So I'm slightly getting better. I want to pick some of these women who I really like Katie, for example, but it's like, I almost don't, because at this point I'm so far behind. I need to pick someone that's sort of out there. And if they happen to work, MJ, for example, this coming episode, like this episode tonight, I should be picking MJ because a lot of people won't be picking her. So I have to pick her and hope she stays. And then maybe I'll get some more points from that. So I'm 37th. You have gone down again. You're 52nd out of 55. So
oh no,
you're just, it's an embarrassment, Adam. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I picked Anna for the last episode. I thought something was going to happen and she was going to stay. And I was wrong.
Yikes. Yeah. By the way, also, apparently no Bachelorette season. We talked about last episode with Lindsay Hamilton. It was going to be at Jasper Park Lodge, and that's where I said that was the most romantic place to propose at the 14th hole, the green there with the mountains and the water. It's a spectacular view. Apparently, the Canadian government is saying no, not happening for the Bachelorette season. So that will not be at Jasper Park Lodge. Otherwise, I would have been there. So because of that, I will still be able to do Bro Ceremony episodes. So.
Well, I guess I sent your application in last week. You'd be a great candidate to be on the show. So there goes that.
Sad. Very fat, it's too bad. Very, very too bad. But so excited for tonight's episode. I think it's gonna be pretty good.
It's going to be a great episode. We're about 60% of the way through this journey, this process. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. Michael, before we sign off here on episode 10, the landmark double-digit version of the Bro Ceremony presented by Honey Bee Meals. H-Dog Pod, you are the host of the H-Dog Pod. Walk us through. Tell us about your latest guest.
I am going to have on, and actually after we record this, recording this, of course, on the Monday for, the episodes tonight, or within as you're watching this episode's going to be on in 5 minutes, perhaps. Robert Lucetich, who was in the Tiger Woods documentary, the recent Tiger Woods documentary. I'm going to have him on the podcast talking about Tiger Woods, that documentary. He has a new book out as well. And also I'm sure we'll discuss Patrick Reed, the whole rules fiasco last week or 2 weekends ago at the Farmers Insurance Open. Absolute beauty of a guy. I'm going to be a little bit of a brag here. I guess he saw my Twitter handle, working on, because he knows Jay Onrait. And I guess he followed me on Twitter and we've been DMing, we've been texting. No big deal, whatever. It's no big deal. But Robert Lucetich, he seemed like a great guy and really excited to have him on the podcast, the H-Dog Pod.
You can find the H-Dog Pod on iTunes or any of your favorite podcast platform. Looking forward to tuning in to that interview. It's going to be some great stuff. Well, we are now 10 episodes in the books here, 10 down, 3,000 to go. The Bro Ceremony presented by Honey Bee Meals. Looking forward to seeing tonight's episode. It all gets underway 8 p.m. Eastern on ABC, City TV, or wherever The Bachelor is on in your local market. For Michael the Hound Dog Harrison, I'm Adam Scully. Thanks so much for joining us on the Bro Ceremony presented by Honey Bee Meals.